Okay, Baruch Hashem, we are back with a fabulous ethical piece, a hashkafic piece from the wonderful Smichs Chevra, with a piece from the Kol Torah. The Kol Torah was a journal. It was a journal, and it says that this piece is written by a Rav Levi. I don't know who that is, nor does it say who his name is. But it's a very interesting piece. Let's learn the Hebrew inside for a moment. It's Gemara and Shabbos with a Yerushalmi, and it's a very interesting. The Gemara and Shabbos says, Amar Rav Yudam Rishmol, Daf Yudalit Amabis. B'shah shetikin shloima erevin unetilas yadayim. Shloima Melech was metaking two things, erevin and netilas yadayim. Interesting, connection between the two. When he did that, Baskol, Yotzasa Baskol, V'amra, Bini, Im Chacham Libecha, Yismach Libi Gamani. My son, if you are wise, Im Chacham Libecha, my heart will also rejoice. Interesting. Some incredible maila about Erevin and Netilas Yadayim. So says this Kol Torah journal, which they say is from someone by the name of Rav Levi, who I have no clue who it is. They don't give us our any bibliography, but it says this one is printed in 1951. Okay, so it was a shtickle gadol from 70 years ago. He quotes as follows: what's the kesher between Netilas Yadayim and Erevin that the Baskol went out? Why did Shlomo HaMelech metakin Erevin? Where did it come from? Shlomo HaMelech created Erevin l'shatef es hashchinim v'lasei shalom b'neiim. If you don't have an Erev, now you can't visit your friends on Shabbos. You can't eat together. You can't party together. So the creation of Erevin, says Yerushalmi, that Shlomo HaMelech's mindset was shalom. So what does it have to do with the Netilas Yadayim? Ulam, says this Kol Torah journal. Kidei sha'shalim yiskayim. So we have shalom. We have a situation you can visit your friends on Shabbos. We have a situation you can eat with your friends on Shabbos. How do you sustain that? To sustain that, hayom mochrech, they were forced, Shlomo HaMelech, lechapes itza, to create a patent, lahasir kina visina, to remove jealousy and hatred. Kinog ben hashchenim. As we know, people get jealous of their neighbors. And how do you do that? Umata esa'itza yadei netilas yadayim. End of quote. So, fascinating idea that Erevin was for Shalom. Netilas Yadayim is to sustain Erevin sustain the Shalom, to sustain the peace amongst neighbors. But what exactly does that mean? Why does Netilas Yadayim particularly sustain peace and harmony, that you're not going to be jealous of your neighbors? So everyone can give their own potential reason. He says over here something very basic. What happens when you sit down to your Suda Friday night? You make Kiddush, you wash your hands, and what do you have in front of you? You have bread. I have bread. I have the basic necessity of life. I'm worried that my neighbor has a new car, a new house. I have bread. It bubbles everything and boils everything down that you at least have the basics. And this is how they're explaining this takana of Shlomo HaMelech, that they wanted Erevin to get together. But then you get together and you get jealous and you say, hey, you just got this new thing and you got this new item and this new gadget and this new electronics. But then when you wash and you have Netilas Yadayim, and maybe we'll say a little more. We'll say we've been learning how what washing does is it brings Kedusha. It infuses spirituality into the mundane. So maybe that's a little bit more of the depth of what's going on over here, is that if you just think about food as food is a physical, animalistic way to fill up my body, then very quickly you become jealous, because I have this food and you have that food, I have this car and you have that car, I have this house and you have that house. But if we realize that even the physical, even the mundane is there for a higher purpose, if we realize that our whole lives are there for a higher purpose, that we're being mekadesh ourselves, we're washing our hands, what are we doing when we're eating? We're being similar to the Kaihanim in the Beis HaMikdash. We're realizing that there's more to life. I don't have to be so jealous of my neighbor. It doesn't make such a big difference. And slowly it seeps into us, infusing everything with a bit of spirituality, and that's potentially pshat in Shlomo HaMelech. So what does that have to do with this week's parsha? No? Who could guess? It's an obvious one. No one knows. Yeah, of course. Yeah. What? He's really answering. That's very good. That probably would be a great connection. But in Rabbi Twersky on Chumash says as follows, or I should say, Twersky on Chumash says as follows. This time he quotes him as Rabbi Twersky. Twersky on Parsha, excuse me. Parsha Behaaloscha. What happens? It teaches about the chatzotzeros, the trumpets. When were the trumpets blown? Trumpets are blown at 2 times. Time number 1, Klal Yisrael in Mass. It's time to travel. It's time to rest. 2 trumpets were blown. But when Moshe Rabbeinu had to assemble the Nesiim, a trumpet was blown as well. So one could wonder, why? How many Nesiim were there? There were just 12 of them. What are you blowing your trumpet for? Moshe Rabbeinu, go to your Shamish and say, go call Reuven, Shimon, Levi, go call the 12 guys. You're blowing your trumpet. Blowing a trumpet, the whole camp could hear for 12 people to come together. Why? Says Rav Twersky, a beautiful idea. What would happen? Reuven comes, the messenger says, Reuven, Moshe Rabbeinu is having a meeting. And then he goes to Levi. And then he bumps into Yehuda on the way to Yisachar. Moshe Rabbeinu is having a meeting. Wait, why did he come to me first? Wait, on your paper I'm listed where? Where did Moshe Rabbeinu write me down? Wait, he wanted to invite me? He threw me in at the bottom. If you blow a trumpet, everyone is equal. Everyone in mass. Perhaps a little bit of a smach. You send out a group message. Everyone receives it at once. It's not I'm pinpointing you more than you more than you. We're all equal. The ultimate way to remove the envy, the jealousy is how? Is to put everyone on the same plateau. An absolutely beautiful, eye-opening shot, which now we can understand a little bit more of the depth. How do we remove kina, taiva, kavod? How do we remove this all? Is by infusing netilas yadayim, infusing spirituality into the physical. And now he says a story. He says the story, it's a very, very famous story. I'm going to skip his hakdama and I'll say it afterwards. It's my personal way of telling the story. You'll tell me afterwards if you agree. It's a famous story with one of the Reichmans. One of the Reichmans famously was Nifter, and when he was Nifter, there were 2 wills. I believe everyone knows the story, so I'll say it quickly. There were 2 wills, and the first will said, read this right when I'm Nifter, and it said the second will, don't open up till after Shiva. Okay? This is the Makayim Divrei HaMeis. So the first will, it says, don't open the other will till after Shiva. And that will, what does it say? He has one very important hakpada. Number 1, bury me in Yerushalayim. Okay, bury me in Yerushalayim. Number 2, I want to be buried with my socks. Very good. I want to be buried with my socks. Buried with my socks. It's totally ridiculous. Chaver Kadisha, the tumulting in the mikvah. What's going on over there? Buried the man with the socks. They asked the Gedalim, Lamaisa. Everyone, will get up a little extra donation if we let it find him a heter to bury with the socks. Okay, Lamais, they do the right thing. They take off the socks and they bury him. They said Shiva, and the whole Shiva, the family is a little bit, uneasy. That they weren't Makayim, Divrei HaMeis. Finally, after Shiva, what do? They open up the other will, and the other will says to give out the millions and billions and whatever amount of money to all the kids. And it concludes as follows. I don't know if this is a quote. In case it is, I will read it. I'm sure you're confused by my request. Wonder, did he speak English? Not sure. I'm sure you're confused by my request to be buried in socks. But I'm sure that ultimately I will be buried without socks. This is the second will that they're reading. The reason I asked to be buried with my socks, I want to teach you one final lesson. Baruch Hashem, you will have a lot of money in your life. Well, now they do after they just inherited this all. But remember one thing, even your socks you cannot take to the grave. The money you have, the tool is to help others, give tzedakah. Don't be jealous, don't do lavish spendings, increase Torah, chesed, etc., etc. A beautiful story, a famous story, absolutely wonderful. We'll tie it together and then I'll read you the Hakdama. And obviously the tie together is Shlomo Melech was metakin Erevin to make shalom. Netilas Yadayim, to sustain the shalom, to realize that not everything is about the gashmis, not everything is about the physicality. The more we inject spirituality, the more we inject a little bit of ruchnius, a little bit. I'm washing my hands, take a lot of notice. Okay, at least I have bread. It's true, I still feel jealous. But slowly, a little bit, slowly comes to settle within you that will be able to live better life. So what's the Hakdama? The Hakdama, he says that the story was confirmed not to be true. I don't know, this ruined my childhood. I don't know why he said this. I didn't want to ruin it for you too. He says the story is confirmed not to be true. Listen, I got in trouble recently with sharing a story. I thought it was true. I read it from a book. I got flack that it wasn't true. I blamed it on the book. I'm just, I want to be transparent over here. He writes, the story is not true. Listen, how many children are going to be crying themselves to sleep right now hearing this? We'll get everyone therapy. But he says it's very powerful, and he quotes Rabbi Wine that says, I'd like to share you a true story that either happened or will happen. A little line that Rabbi Wine often repeats. But anyways, whether the story is true or not, it's a Gevaldik lesson And it's also a little bit of an eye-opening idea that by infusing the spiritual, by putting everyone on the same level, there's no one better than the next, as we see from the trumpets, the Chatzitzris, as the Nesiim were assembled, will slowly come to be able to have the ultimate shalom that we need amongst all of us.